Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farm. Today I wanted to make a video discussing how to start a garden, what the actual first steps are. I know I've already made a video discussing of how to turn your lawn into a garden, but it can go much more in depth than that, so I decided to start a series just basically giving everybody the step-by-step pieces and parts, so that way no matter where you're at in your gardening journey, there is an easy way for you to find what's next or what you can improve on. So today's video, I wanted to talk about planning and plotting. Any good garden first starts with a lot of planning, a lot of thought, and plotting it out. If you're anything like me, I kind of like to just fly by the seat of my pants and make things happen as I'm going. We actively are working on doing that with our new house. For those of you that are new here, we have only owned this place for about a month and a half, so we've been basically scrambling to get it into an established homestead and make the house nice and remodeled and renovated while we're actively living in a construction zone and trying to get things going for this year's gardening season. So I live in Ohio. I am in zone 6-ish. I'm kind of on the cusp between zone 6A and zone 6B, so I just say zone 6-ish. So normally right now we would have already had stuff planted in the garden, but for the last like 6.5 days or so, it has rained almost constantly. It has been very chilly out, hence why I'm wearing such a heavy lined flannel, because it's probably only like 45 degrees out while I'm filming this, and it's kind of drizzling even though it wasn't supposed to rain today. But anyways, so the first things you want to do with starting a new garden is planning. So you want to plan, okay, what are my goals for this year? Do I want to make enough vegetables just for fresh summer eating? Or do I want to grow enough just to have an occasional tomato sandwich? Or do I want to grow enough that I can make spaghetti sauce, marinara sauce, pasta sauce, pizza sauce, whatever you want to do? Tomatoes are the easiest thing to talk about. I know that there's many other things to grow. We grow a ton of different stuff. But the tomatoes, everybody can relate to growing just a couple of tomato plants. Not a lot of people would ever grow just a handful of green bean plants. But with something like tomatoes, makes sense. So that's why I use that as my analogy. We grow pretty much everything that you can grow in this area, in this climate. We do a lot of growing for self-preservation, not self-preservation, but preserving food for ourselves and self-sufficiency. We used to live in town, and we had a very large garden on our quarter-acre plot of land, and we were able to grow like 75-ish% of our family's fruits and vegetables and things of that nature to get us through the entire year. So we have a lot of experience in growing in a very small space. The property that we're on right now has 2 acres, so we were able to really be able to spread out our wings a lot more than what we've been able to do in the past. So the first thing you want to do is you want to plan. You want to figure out exactly what it is that you want to grow and how much you want to grow. Once you establish what your plan is, whether it is, 10 tomatoes or like 10 tomato plants, or do you just want to have 10 tomato sandwiches, then it makes it easy to know, okay, this is how much space I'm going to use. For example, each tomato plant requires about a square foot of row space. So that's something that you want to keep into consideration. Green beans are something that you plant the plants pretty close together. They require about 3 square inches of space in between the plants. Pepper plants are about 6 to 8 inches between the pepper plants. It's the same for the sweet, and it's the same for the hot. I tend to grow things kind of on the closer scale because, like I said, we lived in town. We did not have very much space to have a garden. So it was very much of, high intensity growing to get the most out of our small space as possible. You can obviously space them out further, but if you plant your plants closer together, then they will actually shade out a lot of the weeds once they get bigger. So it makes it so you don't have to weed as often. Okay, so once you have your plan established of, okay, I want to have green beans throughout the summer, fresh green beans. I want to have 6 pepper plants. We'll just give that as an example because it's easy to buy them in 3-packs. So you got your 3 hot peppers, you got 3 sweet peppers, and you got, we'll say, 6 tomato plants. Then you know that you just need a small garden. Something that's probably a 10-foot by 10-foot square area would probably be ample amount of space. Now, if you wanted to go gangbusters with it and, go crazy, you're going to want to do something that's like the size of this garden. This garden gives us probably about 1,900 square feet of space. It looks like the lines for the garden are straight on camera, the fence lines. We still have yet to put fencing up. The garden got a rough first till last week before all of the rain set in. I don't know if it'll show on film, but there's actually puddles all throughout the garden. So that's the other part of planning, is you want to make sure that your garden, now we're on a slight hill. It's really hard to see it on camera how much the slope is, and I apologize for that, but I can't do anything better to show you guys. But there is a slight hill to the garden, so we could have put the garden down closer towards the road, which would also make it closer to the house. But where we live at, there is a slope. There are springs here. So if we would have gone down that way towards the road, it would be wet all the time. Like, it is soggy now when I'm walking around, but that is because we've had a tremendous amount of rain and no sun, and nothing's really alive yet to absorb it. So we put the garden up here because it gets a fair amount of sunshine throughout the entire day. Those two trees, we're hoping to be able to cut them down before the gardening season starts. They're not very healthy, and they're also black walnuts, and they're right next to the driveway, so I don't want to have a bunch of walnuts hitting our cars. So you want to find a spot that has a decent amount of sunlight, anything from 6 to 12 hours of sunlight a day. You can grow a lot of things with just 6 hours of sunlight, and it does not have to be 6 hours of constant, consistent sunlight that's nonstop. It can be 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon. It can be 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, and a couple hours in the evening. You know, plants don't care. It doesn't have to be constant, because in real life there's clouds and everything that make it so that way the sun isn't constant. Except for those occasional cloudless days that we sadly have not seen for quite some time here. But anyways, so that's the other thing with planning where it's going to go and with plotting it out. You want to make sure that you're in an area that does have decent amount of drainage, so you're not at the bottom of a hill where everything's going to be soggy and soaked all the time. You don't want to plant in like a boggy area. A hawk just flew overhead. You don't want to plant in a boggy area that is permanently soggy and wet, because a lot of the plants, then their roots will rot once you plant them in the ground, and they will not thrive. They will have a hard time even surviving in an environment like that. So basically, it's like, one of those things where you have to have the perfect amount of wetness to dryness, and it's not complicated. It's just walk around and see what areas of your yard are super wet, and that's where you don't want to put a garden. Areas that turn brown in the summer pretty easily once the dry spells hit in. That hawk just keeps flying around over top. If you're in an area that has patches of your grass where it turns brown throughout the summer because it's so dry once it starts getting hot out, that's obviously not where you want to put the garden. You want to look for a spot in your yard that actually has grass that grows pretty lush, because that tells you right there that there's a lot of nutrients and minerals for your garden. So that is it on plotting and planning your garden. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I would be happy to answer them. If you are enjoying my content, please give my video and all my other videos a thumbs up to help us grow on YouTube. If you feel so inclined, please share our videos on social media so that way other people can learn. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so to really help us grow. We are a small woman-owned business. It's me and my wife that own it. We sell produce at our local farmers market, and we also sell artisan bread. And we are basically trying to do everything that we can to make the world a better place. So if you feel inspired by that and would like to join us on our journey, please subscribe to our channel for more content and to be notified every time we post a new video. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.